This is my recording of the BALLONA wetlands um, overlays. This is just a test. This is the area B. This is the freshwater forest. This is the riparian corridor that feeds it, where they dug up the burials in that ditch. And water dumps in here, and then water dumps underneath the road in a culvert from Jefferson and Culver to the BALLONA channel. This is area A, and this is area C north. Here's Culver. I've got it sideways, so that's why it didn't seem right. And this is area C south. I'm going to roll this around, and I'm going to put my overlays on the on this image on Google Earth. So I'm going to put the alternative one that I made an overlay with. And I'm going to show that in the overlay and pose it on Google Earth. So I'm fading it in and out. So you can see that it matches pretty good. So that's the overlay of alternative one that they prefer. So when you look at this, what this shows is the alternative one alterations. They want to build these big 20 to 25 foot levees all the way around here, basically around Culver, and then on to the channel, and then they're going to start at the channel again. That's where these cross lines are, the levee, and then this is going to be a huge embankment where these are, because of this amount of material they're going to take out. So this is area A. You can see the marina right here. See that? So what they want to do is have us believe that this water is some kind of fresh water. It's falsified information. It's defective because the channel has seawater in it all the time because this is so low. And all this area in green will be full of salt water, even to these lines here, I believe, on higher tides or king tides. I think it'll fill this whole thing up. All this will be filled in with salt water, different levels. It's not going to be like this ever. It won't be this. It doesn't matter how deep they make it. They can make it 100 feet deep. The seawater level is a different thing. It's going to come way up. It's going to be self-leveling, and it's going to cover it. This, like I said before, is a tsunami zone protection device for Playa Vista, because the only beneficial use of all these levees to contain the water coming through here in a tsunami, even this direction, is that the water that passes through will be diverted by these levees, and some of them are doubled up, even right here. They don't even need this. If it was really just going to be a hole, they don't need this one, but this is to catch and divert the water and contain it here and shoot it through to the channel, or have it stay in here and then go up and then back down, because it'll surge. It withdraws before the tsunami comes in. We know that from all that, but this is the Playa Vista development. So when you look at this, that's all below these levels, and it's in a flood zone, and it was lower than this area of the wetlands even, or very close to it. So this is an unknown tsunami area now, all this is. So this is really a flood control project for Playa Vista. Like I said, it's right here. So this contains it, protects them pretty much, and then it controls it in here. But it probably won't work on a bigger tsunami, but even on a small one, it would it would do some good, and it's better than what they have now, which is nothing. And if they hadn't sold the land to the state and tricked them to pay that high price for it, if Playa Vista was trying to build all this for their flood control, it would never fly. So Mary Small, with the State Coastal Conservancy and some other people like Santa Monica Bay Restoration Commission, the Bay Foundation, Steal the Bay, Bay Keepers, all of them that are supporting this. This is all about money and politics and giving Playa Vista flood control. So the other issue I have is that this was never salt water completely, like they're going to put the salt water inundation in. There's a lot of fresh water documented here now that we have the coring results, and we also have the historic drawings. So I'm going to move this one off here, and I'm going to put the historic overlay of this one. This is the historic overlay of what was really existing here. And I will change the transparency right now. I can only do one at a time, so just bear with me here. So this was the original survey by the government. It's very old, 1860s around there, 70s. And it shows the wetlands. It shows the channel lagoon. It shows the salt pan, which some of it's still existing. And then it shows the BALLONA Creek, which actually was a creek. It was the West Fork of the LA River. It came through here. Basically, it moved around, but came through, and it was much larger. I think it cut right through, but at this time it wasn't. But I think it was here and in different places, depending on the flooding and raining. This was all pretty flat. Anyway, it fed this, which is all fresh water. This is marsh plains, and they didn't call it saltwater marshes or estuary, but this is a known estuary, but that's where fresh and salt water mix. So this was kind of like the border of the salt water down in here. And this area was all wetlands, and I'm talking about freshwater wetlands and habitat. So when we, let me move this over. So when we look at that transparency I made, so I'm going to take it away. I'm going to go right about there. You can see that the salt pan, some of this is here. Some of it they made creeks and channels in here for the salt water. But very little of it was, as you can see in part of Area A, it was right on the edge on the west side. You take the transparency down a little bit more. You can see the line. And the rest of this was fresh water because of the creek coming through and all the sources of water coming down. Even natural springs and water that came down was here. So when you look at it that way, as I blend it in and out, you can see that this area was never salt water, but they want to put saltwater intrusion when they put that overlay I showed you first, where they cut the channel open, and they're going to flood this area with salt water, which will contaminate the freshwater sources that are here. And some of them, like in this area, are 5 to 10 feet below this grade. So they're very close to the water. You could dig in an hour by hand and hit fresh water here. So, and I have the coring results to prove that. So I'm against it because of that. And I think they've already done and messed this area up down here for the, the saltwater intrusion they put in, which is, most of area B down here. They want to make it more, but I'm against that. I want this to be left alone on the channel, and we get the water from this area, from the forests that they're dumping in the channel now, have it piped, have it purified and piped down the levee, down the levee. I don't mean at the bottom, but run up the levee on the bank side off the road that's here. There's a road here, so just on the bottom edge, run this pipeline underneath the PCH Lincoln Bridge, run it underneath Culver, and right here they could put pipelines in to distribute the fresh water in this area, and run kind of an S snake-shaped water line, or even a couple of them, and then put smaller pipe under it, next to it, that off of it, that would fill and give water to low areas, let it pond, let it be a source for restoration of plants and trees like willows, and restore this whole area back to freshwater wetlands habitat and support for those type of animals and everything along those lines that need it. And the same thing can be done here. That pipeline could go tee off right here, go under Culver both way, over Lincoln, under the Culver Bridge, and it could feed fresh water to Area C South, Area C North, and have a wetland restoration there. And they could lose the baseball field. They were supposed to be gone anyway, and then put some, a lot more trees and different things. So there's a lot of fill here. It's level with the levee, so that's that part of it. So this is that overlay that explains the original true documented freshwater wetland. So they're not restoring it when they call it that. They're changing it. If they're restoring the wetland, it would be fresh water for Area A. So they're obviously, falsified the information, and I'm not letting them do it. I'm not going to accept that. So I'm going to get out of this historical one, and I'm going to go back to the alternative one that they have in the EIS. And what I want to show on this is something important. Not only is most of this been falsified and illegally used information to justify their agenda for the tsunami flood control for Playa Vista, but also these big levees that you see here, these lines, and they're the grade, but these are 25 to 30 feet tall. And even in here, all this is along Culver. You'll never see the wetlands. This is like looking over a two-story building. So from Culver, you will never see any of the wetlands anymore. And that's a visual thing. That's a violation of the Coastal Act. And so that's one thing it'll fail on. And besides the failure, the biological failures and hydrology failures. But the levee also wraps around Lincoln and Fiji Way, which is the south road of the harbor that goes all the way down here. You'll never see it like you can now from the road here either, or walk or be able to get to it. They plan on putting trails, but now at least you could drive by and see things. The only way you can see it with this configuration is from Lincoln if you're driving over either way, and take a quick but dangerous look through here and see part of it as you zoom by at 45. That's the speed limit basically. So you basically aren't going to see the wetlands anymore over here. And this is going to be messed up with salt water, so it's not going to really change much. And but this is a huge impact and coastal zone violation. So we'll see what the Coastal Commission says. If they don't, um, if they don't rule right, then I'm sure they're going to get sued about it, including from me. So I'm going to show this existing, and then you can see the changes they want to do, especially to move this over to area B, A mostly, and B. Let me do those transparencies. So that's what they plan on doing. And this is all dug down. They're going to take about, their math is around 3 million cubic yards, and they're going to move it up here. And then the rest of the dirt they're going to take and sell it to the port of LA because they need the dirt, and they can barge it right down. According to them, I think it'll be pretty tricky. I worked for Hawaiian Tug and Barge, and we had those sand barges hauled with the tugboats we were on, and it was tricky there, and this is way harder, so I don't even think those guys would do it, and they're the best I ever worked with. But this gives you an idea of the location of it with the transparency. There's the marina, and the harbor, and then here is, and this is Fiji Way, of course. And then this is what they're going to do, what they're planning on doing, and they've already chosen the Fish and Wildlife and LA County Flood Control are proponents now, as they said in their last notice. So that's it. It's a test, so be patient with the movement and everything, but I just wanted to try this and get it going. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to move this over. I don't want to lose this.